Back now to the Aero Club in Wellington, where a small plane has crashed right near the runway. And at this point, we have been watching as the rescue operation has been underway, attempting to get the pilot out of the plane. Right now, let's go up to Captain Julie in Chopper 5. Maybe she can explain, as she's been watching it over the last several minutes, what's happened. Julie?
Kelly, they just did get the pilot out of the plane. They used a ladder to the cockpit door. They laid a backboard down, put a seat collar on him, pulled him out on the backboard. And right now they're just trying to assess his situation further, do a primary and a secondary survey of his injuries. They will stabilize him here on the scene. I haven't heard that the Trauma Hawk helicopter has been called to the scene. Certainly sometimes it does in these cases of aircraft incidents, being that they are trauma alerts. We haven't heard that just yet, but we will keep listening. But not hearing of anyone else inside the plane, which is good news. Of course, this plane went down just on the northwest corner here of the Wellington Aero Club. Whether it was landing out here, no one is absolutely certain. It seems a little odd because if you just pull back a little bit, you can actually see where the aircraft dug into the ground. Those marks are from the southeast to the northwest. The wind directions out here at the Wellington Aero Club are favoring the east and the southeast. So if this pilot was landing, it would have been a little bit of a downwind for the pilot. So maybe on takeoff, not sure, or maybe it was a pilot in distress that just used this Aero Club in an attempt to get the aircraft on the ground safely. They still have the foam poured onto the aircraft, which is actually resting on the side of a house and a swimming pool. They will still be maintaining that situation as a very volatile one, being that there is fuel on board the aircraft. But it seems right now that we do have the person out of the aircraft. They are talking to fire rescue personnel, which is good news at this point. Back to you in the studio.
Captain Julie, thank you. We'll continue to follow this breaking news at the top of the hour. Moving on now, in an interview, as we continue to look at that scene, perhaps we'll stay with the scene. Captain Julie, if we're going to stay with you, I believe, if you could please tell us, it seems they've pulled completely away from the aircraft. You said early on, not clear if they, as we see them begin to move the pilot away, and it seems all the firefighters are away from the aircraft, so we would assume that indeed he was the only person on board. We don't know that for absolutely certain, but I see no activity near the aircraft as you continue to train your camera on the movement of the pilot to waiting fire rescue vehicles.
Yeah, it does seem that way, Michael. I mean, you can see all the firefighters' rescue efforts were on just that cockpit door, and they've now taken the person out of the aircraft. There's nobody left behind at the crash site, just maybe one firefighter there. All that white stuff is the foam that they put onto the aircraft that went into the pool. So they are certainly not acting as if there is passengers on board, another person on board the aircraft, and we're still not hearing anything from fire rescue to confirm that, but it does not seem to be the case. They're going to safely load this pilot into the ambulance, stabilize him a little bit more, and then transport him to the hospital. As whether he'll go by ground or air, I was saying earlier, that remains to be seen. But they are now going to just keep this area cordoned off out here in the Wellington Aero Club. It is a crime scene. There will be an NTSB and an FAA investigation to come. Same with the airplane, the helicopter that just went down, the sheriff's helicopter that you saw earlier in our broadcast. They will be looking at the aircraft inspection records, make sure it maintained properly, the pilot records. The wind conditions out here are perfect, so that's not really going to be an issue, the weather at all today. But they'll also look at the fuel and generally just inspect the aircraft to find out what went wrong here and caused this crash in Wellington. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Captain Julie in Chopper 5 today, and we will be right back to Captain Julie with more live coverage of this breaking news in Wellington's Aero Club after we now transition into News Channel 5 at 6.
Now, from WPTV, this is News Channel 5 at 6. Local coverage you can count on.
And good evening once again, everyone. Kelly Dunn along with Michael Williams. We are continuing to follow some breaking news on a very busy news day today. This again, the community of Wellington, the Aero Club, a fly-in community where this afternoon, just a short time ago in fact, a small plane, a single-engine plane, crashed while trying to land in the Aero Club at the grass runway and flipped, nearly landing in a swimming pool.
Right up to the edge of a pool and home just moments ago. From our Chopper 5 camera, you could see fire rescue crews. They were able to get the pilot out of the aircraft, have moved him to a fire rescue vehicle. Captain Julie over the scene with the very latest as we continue to watch from above. Captain Julie?
Yeah, as you can see, they are still now going back to the wreckage here. The pilot now pulled out, going to be safely taken to the hospital. They're certainly going to want to try and contain the situation out here. There was a mention by the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. One of the reasons that they asked the helicopters out here to back off just a little bit was that there was a possible explosive situation on the ground. Whether they were talking about the fuel inside the aircraft or whether maybe the plane for some reason had, some of the planes do have a little explosive device in there that can eject the canopy of the aircraft. I don't know what this aircraft is. It's very hard to see, and of course now they've sprayed it down with foam. It's made it even more difficult to find out, but there has been a concern all along of an explosion, whether it be an explosive device or fuel, we don't know. But certainly out here in the Wellington area, they have it all cordoned off, and this little runway out here is closed now for, it is a private airport, but it is closed right now. The runway is closed down. Back to you.
All right, Captain Julie covering the scene for us now. We're going to go to News Channel 5's Evan Axelbank. He's arrived in Wellington. He's on the phone now. Evan, what have you been able to learn from the ground?
Well, Kelly, right now I'm just walking here. I can see quite a number of golf carts that have gathered here by the scene to take a look. I can confirm what Captain Julie said, that the pilot airlifted to the hospital at this point. There's an attempt, obviously, to put him or her into a helicopter and get them to the hospital safely. I can also tell you that a number of the people here on the ground have been,
All right, we are sorry about that. Lost that phone connection with Evan Axelbank on the phone in Wellington again. The pilot has been removed from the plane. Quite a lucky pilot, as we've been hearing this afternoon, surviving the crash and then the threat of the plane catching fire.
And we say lands in the backyard. He ended up in the backyard after landing, we are told, at the Wellington Aero Club. Captain Julie's been over this scene, still showing you the home, and behind that home, where this small aircraft, our aviation expert David Jellis thinks it may be a Piper aircraft, came to rest after landing for some reason yet unknown, veering off of the grass strip and almost ending up in the pool of that home. They've gotten the pilot off of the aircraft. It appears there were no passengers aboard. Still trying to confirm that, however, and fire rescue now has the pilot in their care at the fire rescue vehicle and soon en route to the hospital.
And we will continue to stay on top of this story.